Hey guys.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going? Just fresh off the stage.
Yep.
So this is the problem, and the best part of doing like a 24-hour live stream is I get to see no presentations.
Right.
I literally heard absolutely nothing. So we're in the chill zone. Oh yeah, you're in. Okay, he's gonna hang around. So we need a quadruple vodka soda, please. Yeah, you stumped him. So
Coming right up.
The beautiful part of kind of being involved in all this is, now we get to talk a little less formal.
Yeah.
You know, we can heckle you here. The live stream viewers can send questions and comments. So Neo's going to keep an eye on that.
Cool.
But so I think you guys should introduce yourselves because you guys are very, very well known and also maybe not very well known at all.
Yeah, I'm Cal, so I run Leo. I've been on Hive for, I think, 7 years now. So obviously, I love it here. I'm going to stick around for the foreseeable future. I think things on Hive have really kind of taken off lately from a technology perspective. I'm sure that's been a common theme with everyone.
Yeah.
So, I'm here for it. And then,
I'm Eric. I'm part of the legal finance team. The thing that made me write Cal a year and a half ago and tell him, hey, I really want to be part of this is that because I align with the vision of decentralizing knowledge and access to finance. And that's the main thing that everyone in crypto should be doing. The money is blinding us. And most projects out there are focused on how to build their own wealth without sharing it with the users, and that's why I align with Cal so much, because if you thrive, you should make your users thrive, and that's why
it's symbiotic. So it's awesome that you led with that because A, we haven't seen each other in a while. You're fantastic. B, we just met. You're fantastic. So this is nice. I get the best of all of these relationships. But we were just talking with Nathan and Chris, and again, we had a lot of similar topics that we were touching on. And a big one was really that being money-minded and being business-minded are not the same. Because I said to Chris, I can see you're a businessman. And, some people will take that the wrong way. They'll think that you're calling them greedy or whatever. And I don't think so. And both of you guys are, in my mind, really strong business-minded people. You think a lot about humans and their relationships to finances and to each other. And so I think that's kind of at the heart of what you've done with Leo. So before I jump in and ask you what the heck you were talking about over there, because I'm curious, I have to address the elephant in the room. How are we doing with the potential rebrand of Leo? Do we want to talk about this, or have I got you here under the hot lights and now
the lights are pretty hot.
Yeah.
So we have narrowed it down to, I would say, 3 different names. And I thought about I told you yesterday, I thought about just launching it and sending it on stage.
Send it.
Yeah, you got to send it
Just
sometimes,
send it.
right?
It's the Canadian way.
Yeah. So Leo is known
Just
for
send it
just
by.
doing it live. So I thought about it, but I decided the moment not to do it. But I think we've narrowed it down. So I'm going to say loosely within the next 2 weeks we'll be fully rebranded.
Cool. Okay. So obviously you've taken over a lot of the community kind of interactions and stuff like that. I have seen Leo everywhere. You are becoming a bit of an expert. Take a beat for everybody at home to laugh because it was a good joke. You've become a bit of an expert of Twitter and whatever the heck else it was. But also you're leveraging a lot of kind of off and on platform, Zeely, I don't know how that works. And you guys obviously have had an awesome, successful proposal with lots of stuff going on. So do you want to talk a bit about that? I think we're going to have a photo bomber here in the back of the bar pretty quick. No, he's leaving.
Just a short guy with a long beard.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you say, and the main thing that I very much align, and that's why I really wanted to be part of Leo, because in the end, any crypto project is a business, and we should stop calling them projects. We should start calling them companies, because that's what they are. They are for revenue, and the only difference that we have with Web2 is that revenue doesn't fill our pockets, but everyone's pockets. So the way that Cal really wanted me to focus was, okay, so the existing companies and the existing user bases, how can we leverage those to bring more people to Hive? And the main thing that you have to do is cater to their needs and offer them an extra route or a parallel route. So you don't want them to leave X, or you don't want them to leave YouTube. You just want them to know there are other options to build their ramp so they can make more money, and that money eventually will align with us in the sense of, okay, now share that with your audience. Like, your audience is what's giving you $20,000 a month. Give them a little bit with the tokenized attention, with the ad revenue that we have. Like, Leo is not taking any money from that, so share that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, we're really trying to leverage all of these Web2 platforms, and it's still young, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
The attempt has to be made. Yeah, sorry, I'm going to give it back to you because I know you got stuff to say, but the attempt has to be made. And so it's really true, and I think a really good point that you guys are bringing up and that you guys are doing really well is incentivizing people. You can't just ask them to leave Web 2. It's not going to work. We know that. We know it's not going to work. But basically going to where they're already successful and saying, and here's a new tool, and here's another place, and here's a place that is equitable or gives you extra benefits. So for you guys, you know, that's a multi-pronged attack because you guys have a lot of stuff going on. I mean, the Everything app is awesome, but under that umbrella, you have quite a few separate projects that are all combined in one interface. So do you want to talk a little bit about kind of how you've evolved from a financial long form like platform to everything?
Yeah, so it started as Decentralized Seeking Alpha. That was the whole idea, and you know, some people are familiar with it, some people aren't, but basically Seeking Alpha is like a long form. You have basically like verified authors, and those authors are able to write long form articles, and you can pay to subscribe. So that was where kind of Leo was born. And a big part of that was because I always loved finance. You know, it was since I was like 14, I was trading. So I loved finance my whole life. And then from there, we kind of realized, okay, we've got some initial attention, we've got some traction. How can we, you know, how big can we really get, and what kind of impact can we really have if we're only finance? So as things kind of took shape, Project Blank was announced about 2 years ago. And the idea was, let's make Twitter on Hive. But it was meant to be a separate app. So there was meant to be like Leo Finance would remain, and then a whole new app would come out, and that app would be Project Blank. As time kind of progressed, you know, we entered a bear market. You know, we did a lot of stuff in the DeFi space, and I spent a lot of time, you know, talking to other founders and, you know, learning from what, you know, mistakes they made. And there were quite a few that I made too. And from all of that, I learned that, you know, rather than go for, and we called it the Blank token, which would have been its own token and its own app, we decided, you know, rather than an expansion of everything, it's time to consolidate everything. That was a big thread that I found, pun intended. A big thread that I found and pulled on was that a lot of projects were expanding. And a lot of founders I talked to, you know, people that work on Thorchain and others, they found that the more they expanded, the worse that things got. So I found a very similar thing, you know, when I ventured out into doing a lot of other stuff in the crypto space, that expansion wasn't the way. The way was to contract everything and bring it in a unified experience under one UI. So, and then obviously, you know, all this stuff started happening, and then Elon Musk takes over Twitter, which is now X, and literally has the same vision that, you know, I kept talking about, which is, we're going to take all this DeFi stuff, we're going to take, you know, LeoFi.io, WLeo.io, LeoDex.io, we're going to merge it all into one UI. And then Elon takes over Twitter and does it. So I'm like, well, maybe I'm on the right track.
I was going to say, I mean, if nothing else, that's absolutely sort of reinforcement that, it makes a lot of sense to do. So I have to chuckle, and we have to chuckle because we were laughing a bit about the threads thing. That's kind of wild to me in that, you know, the entire world has kind of zoned in on that space as how important short form microblogging is. And of course, right before you guys decide what you're going to call your DApp, somebody else takes it. And it's one of those things where, like, you know, if anything, it's incredibly frustrating, I am sure. But again, kind of ties back to, holy crap, these are companies with billions
Ungodly amount of money.
billions of dollars of money going into what do we need to build? How do we create retention? Where is the future of this space? And what does a UI look like? They're doing all that work. I mean, we're discussing this over the last 2 days is how a lot of our groups are taking cues from what's already been built and then adding the better sort of tech stack underneath and how important that is. So now that's where we're at. You guys are getting ready for your rebrand, but you're also you're merging all your sites into one. And you guys do a lot of work on the tech, like front end in that you guys are pushing updates all the time. How's that looking for you guys? Like, do you think that's going to be the norm for a while, or do you have sort of a timeline with an end goal, or what do you think the sort of development of your UI and what people are interacting with? What's that going to look like?
Yeah, so there's essentially 3 different versions of the UI, and the 2 that are well known are labs.leofinance.io and then leofinance.io, and then there's a private one that I use.
The alpha is locked
The
away.
super alpha. The super alpha. I'm the only one who uses it. It's just me and the devs. So it's because it's a terrible experience.
Because it's always broken.
It is always broken. Like I was trying to upload a picture earlier and it didn't work, and I was like,
From your potato phone?
yeah. from
I'm
my
saying
potato
it here.
phone.
I'm embarrassing him live on air. I don't know how he does it. Every photo you post looks like it was taken with a potato.
I don't know why that is.
You have a potato for a phone.
I have an iPhone 14.
Okay,
and I'll
well,
have a 15
how
when
did
I
you
get
turn
home.
it into a potato?
I don't know.
Okay, anyways, it's off topic.
I don't know.
It's a user error.
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I go
Right.
through a phone probably every year. I have to get a new one.
Oh my God.
Otherwise it breaks. I mean, it's done.
Otherwise it's a
Battery's
potato.
done.
Got
yeah,
it.
Literally a potato.
I see. Fair
So
enough.
I'm about to get a new one. So this one is currently a potato.
All right.
But yeah, so in terms of development, I mean, like we pushed an update this morning to the production UI, which is leofinance.io. So our rollout is pretty much a daily basis or every other day.
It's got like nightlies going.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing is we've got devs from all around the world, so we're able to, some devs wake up, they work, they go to sleep, and then they push their changes at the end of every day.
Yep.
And then new devs wake up and start working on stuff. So there's that, and then I also separated the team. So there's a team for the social side, then there's a team for the back end, and then there's a team for the DeFi side.
Yep.
So being able to, and that, like I was saying, I learned a lot from talking to other founders, and having a kind of multivariate team was a big deal for me. So I spend like 99% of my time on the development side, and then I let Eric run all the marketing and everything.
Yeah.
And he does all the politics because I tend to not be a very likable person. So
Okay, well, I disagree because they have to get you to
Right.
learn to like you, and just nailing you down and getting a message to you would probably start the likability process. So
Yeah.
we got it. It's not that you're not likable; it's that you're impossible to get a hold of.
it happens. It
It's
happens.
fine. We're here. It's just us friends. But yeah, so now I got to lob some softballs his way too, because we were talking about this with Nathan and Chris and some of the guys yesterday. We're really lucky that we're finally starting to see, real companies develop, real business relationships. And one of the things that I like to see the best is when you do have people that have complementary skill sets or complementary interests, where you build teams and you delegate and you don't just take it all on your shoulders, because that's really hard in our space. And of course, a lot of us don't even get to the point of being functional businesses. We're hobby devs, proof of concepts, and then, but you guys are ready to take it the whole way. So, I mean, first of all, I think your guys' relationship works awesome. But I also think this is a good blueprint for where dApps are going. So, I mean, maybe talk a little bit about how you have that great idea of, okay, here's exactly what I'm doing for growth. Here's what's working for us. Here's what's not working for us. Now you guys can do it. Like, we were talking about Facebook spending the billions of dollars to get a good UI. Here you guys are doing all the legwork, crowdsourcing your knowledge, working off each other, and now potentially sharing that with the rest of the platform and other dApps. That's huge, right?
Yeah, and it was mainly when I so Carl had the idea of doing a DHF, but maybe not now. Maybe when and then we started to just play with the thought, and one of the main things that he wanted to do was, okay, how can we tap into the DHF but provide more value than what we're taking. So it was like, okay, so let's build a plan. Let's build a way to spend the money, how it works, how it doesn't work, how can people make the most for their buck. So what we're doing right now, like the DHF is, okay, paying for marketing, but it's also paying for a guide on how to attack marketing in a good way. And it's not that Hive doesn't have that. Everyone has that.
It kind of doesn't, though.
Yeah, but I didn't want to say it.
Well, you're allowed. This is a chill zone.
Yeah. Okay. So
It's also not my show. It's actually, technically, this is Neo Talks Web3.
Okay.
They just are making me do it. Yeah, it's Crim Talks Web3 under Neo's constant supervision. As you can see, he's nowhere to be found. So say whatever you want. Say,
Okay.
So say whatever you want.
So it's going to be, we need marketing. We need people who know how to approach it. And the main issue that we saw in other projects was you cannot have tech-oriented people running the marketing show.
Yeah.
So let's learn about it, and if other projects, if other companies
Yes.
want to tap into the marketing, don't let them start from zero.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them how you did it, what mistakes you made,
Yep.
and of course we're going to make mistakes. We are not perfect. We are not bulletproof, but we, like what Cal wanted was to, okay, let's do it so that we pave the way.
Yep. Absolutely.
And we are confident that the amount of new users that we're going to bring is going to be more than what the goal is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a good seg because, of course, I was lucky enough to take Carl and some other dApps with me to Vegas. And so that's what I talked about a little bit earlier, is sort of how do we identify different groups of people and how do we connect them to the ones who are building passionately. Because whether we like it or not, like I say, I mean, everybody that gets on Hive, once we get them and they start posting and talking, they get it, they love it, they're all in. But it's really hard to show that passion to somebody outside, you know? Like, we can't just, hey, you're a normie, come over here, normie, like, read this post, and come on, normie, come on. Here he is, look, here's the normie. And I show him a great post, and he's like, yeah, okay, and that's it. And then he leaves again.
Which is exactly why we're so
Bye, normie. But you know what I mean? And so we struggle. And so the idea of, well, what if we start not just targeting one-on-one users, but what if we also, in conjunction to what you're doing, take people who have this vision and put them in front of audiences that are receptive to them? All of a sudden, that human connection, it makes a big difference. And I mean, that was your first everything. So we've been talking about it, but maybe, I don't know, we could tell everybody about your first weird Hive Breathe Web3 convention.
Yeah. I'll take both. Yeah, Breathe was really cool. So this is my first HiveFest, and I never met any Hivers in person until Breathe. And I walked in, and I was like, I don't know if I was expecting like lizards or something, but I was like, I walk in and I'm like, oh, everyone's actually pretty normal. Mitch was there. He might be watching right now.
Shout out to Scaredy Cat Guide.
Shout out Scaredy Cat Guide. And as I say on the AMAs, up vote the cat. So
He says that too.
he does. We all say it. We all chant it. It's like Kumbaya. So yeah, Breathe was really cool. I didn't really know what to expect. I had a couple ideas in mind, but actually being there and seeing everybody was really cool. And I found out that Hivers are just normal, maybe slightly weird, but normal.
Normal-ish.
Which I would say describes me pretty well.
Yep.
Normal-ish.
Normal adjacent.
Right. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we got like 300 signups, which is completely wild. Like just 300 new accounts, and I didn't talk to 300 people, so I'm still racking my brain trying to figure out how they signed up. But I was like I had little cards that you saw, and I was just leaving them all over the place.
Yes,
so I would go to a bar and just.
And some of us
them there.
also were utilizing them as well, and that was part of the great thing. Is like, okay, you know what? I can't sign you up. Wait, here.
Right.
And so it's the bonus of having all these sort of collaborative dApps, because it doesn't matter if Leo onboards these people.
Yeah.
Because they may
They're
end up on
Hivers.
Splinterlands.
Right.
Yes. They may end up on Peak D. They may end up not doing anything at all, but come back a year later and sweep all of the art off NFT
Yeah.
showroom.
Well, and that's
You
a
don't
big
know.
thing that I've talked about is that a monthly active user is a monthly active user. Like a lot of people want to say, okay, especially with the DHF stuff where you get a lot of blowback, but a lot of people want to say, what's the point of onboarding them to Leo? And the thing is, when they're onboarded to Leo, they're a Hiver. Like, they have a Hive account, they're making Hive content, and ultimately, they have their keys, and we teach them about Hive Keychain and, the other options to log in, and we say, okay, now go out and go use other apps.
Be free.
Yeah, be free. And so what I loved about Breathe, by the way, too, is that the way you designed the whole setup was we had like a really nice red carpet, which I heard we got for a steal. So we like attracted a lot of attention, I feel like, because we were this huge setup, way bigger than everyone else. And when people walked in, they're like, oh, what's this Hive thing? And then we're like, oh, it's a blockchain, and we all have apps that are built on Hive. And then you look around, and you've got 10 different apps that are all standing there. And they're like, oh, so it's like an ecosystem. And we're like, now you got it.
Yeah.
Now you got it.
So yeah, that was a bit of trial and error for sure, and that's something that I've been working on a bit, is to take us to places. And the idea is we can sell Hive, but you can only sell Hive to very specific people, and it takes quite a bit of time. But you can bring them 10 different things and say, pick one of these things that suits you best, and all of a sudden it's much more interesting and sort of much more. It's much easier to find something for someone to eat at a buffet than a plated meal.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. 100%.
So if you don't like fish,
Yeah.
you'll
Right.
still be able to eat.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about that yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, one of the kind of things that you guys are kind of moving into now is, we're tackling the DHF stuff. I mean, we can talk about that if you guys want. It's a contentious topic for sure, and I'm certainly just as familiar with it. But one of the things that we kind of got chatting with some of the other guys, because the chill zone has become the show your proposal zone, which I think is a good spot for it.
Cool.
You got live stream viewers, you got people watching on the
269.
replay. Yeah. Proposal, what was it?
269.
There we go. Oh, just yeah. So that's fine. This is a good place to talk about it. But of course, earlier we were talking about politics, and Chris Rice really nailed it down. And he said, "Listen, politics isn't governments. You can go out that way. Yep. we're helping direct traffic while doing a live stream.
Multi-talented.
Politics isn't just government. He said it's people, money, and voting." And when you think about it, holy crap, isn't that true?
Right.
And the problem with having a real DAO, not a fake DAO, not a foundation that pretends to give its money to its friends, a real ass DAO, is that we have people and we have money and we have voting. Mm-hmm. And boy, it's a mess, and boy, it does get political. And I think it's okay for us to talk about that, because I don't know that I want that to change. So, I mean, both of you have been right in the middle of it, and I think you've been handling it awesomely. I think everybody that's giving positive, negative feedback, the fact that we're talking is a great thing from where we used to be. But yeah, it's probably changing your outlook and how you move around the platform and how you interact with people. So if you want to talk about it, this is probably a good spot. And I bet watchers, listeners are probably pretty fascinated, frankly.
Yeah. I'll say a quick thing and then pass it to Eric. He's a lot better at the politics than I am.
The money and governance.
Yeah, the money and governance is his forte. But, one thing that I think is really interesting, and, at Breathe, I saw this, and then also obviously here at HiveFest, is seeing everyone in person. It really changes the dynamic. It's easy to yell at each other on chain and be like, you're doing this, and I hate it. And, like you said, money and voting, when you get those people, money, and voting, when you get those three things in a mixture, it's pretty bad. And then when you put it all online where you can't actually see each other, I think it changes things a lot too. So, without naming people, there's people at HiveFest that I've met where we've had, negative interactions on Hive. And negative in terms of just, almost like we're dogs. We sniffed each other's butts. We didn't like each other that much. And that's fine. We're all building things. We're all doing our own thing. And like you said, I don't always respond to people's messages, and that pisses people off. So, but the difference is, and, we had Beer Saturday yesterday. I walk in, I see people that I know I've interacted with and maybe didn't have the greatest interaction with them. But then, we're like best friends, give each other a little, like a bro hug and say, hey, how's everything going? Nice to finally meet you. Aggroed when I met him at Breathe. It was super fun, and You know, a lot of people think there's like bad blood there, but there's not. He's a cool dude.
Well, that's the interesting thing. And I want you to talk about it too. But that is an interesting thing, and I think you've nailed it. Is it's often not even the interactions that you're having; it's what people are projecting onto us, and that's tricky too, because we have this space where people are voting, people are being voted for, and all of a sudden there's all these points of data that exist online, as you say, and it's really easy to interpret them through our own lens. And we that's how life works. That's what you do. But it gets messy in a DAO. So yeah, I mean, one thing that we've learned is almost all of the dApps, even co-opetition is that word that came up. They're not competitive. We are so small. There is no lack of people to onboard, and anybody you successfully onboard is my customer, and vice versa. So yeah, I mean, how have you found it? Because I find you're excellent with people. You've always been excellent with people. You're well known around the chain for being, you know, a likable guy, a helpful guy. From the beginnings of the road to Legacy Chain Fest, and you know, just always a community builder. This is a new challenge for you because you're not just building community. You are now moderating community feeling or tackling community concerns. So that's a new one.
So
Less fun.
this is going to be a great topic. Once like you are a blockchain, so there has to be I don't even know the word, but you have several screws in a blockchain. So you're only as fast as the leading one, and you're only as slow as the trailing one. So the way that Leo is going is we want to lead.
Yes.
Because we want to bring everyone with us.
Yeah.
That gets pushback, but at the same time, we are upping the bar, or we like to think that we're upping the bar, in the sense of we want deadlines, we want goals, we want deliverables, and if we don't reach them, we want you to slap us in the hand.
Yeah.
We want you to stop funding us. We don't want the DHF money because we need it. We want it because it's about building and using the money for things that matter.
Yes.
And at the same time, we were speaking about it a little bit earlier. We need to transition from projects, from people who hated corporate or people who are crypto billionaires or whatever. We want to transition the DAO that we have and the company, the ecosystem that we have into the next level.
Yeah.
How do you do that? By pushing everyone to the next level. Because Ethereum, Cosmos, Polygon, it's whales' money playing with people's money and giving money to their friends.
Yep.
If we don't want to fall into that, we need to have a higher standard. How do you achieve that higher standard?
Yep.
By having a proposal that meets all the criteria. And this is not about one proposal specifically. I would love for the support proposal to go up to 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, and then have a real understanding for the community.
Yeah.
Either everyone gets involved in governance or nobody gets money.
That's ambitious, and that is a whole extra episode, and I love it. And I think let's put a pin in it because I think we're going to come back to that. So we have had some time here. Great chat, guys. You are live on the Chill Zone. So given that it's informal and you have people watching, you get like your closing statement. It could be anything you want about you, about Hive, about just thanks for watching, see you later, whatever you want to say before I kick you out.
Okay. Kick us oot.
Kick us oot. Did I say that? Oh. Sometimes my Canadian comes oot.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, use threads. That's my tagline. We got a threadcast for HiveFest.
I was just going to say, throw the threadcast thing out because I think a lot of people aren't familiar with it yet.
Yeah.
So give it a show.
So Taskmaster is running a daily threadcast for every day of HiveFest. And, I talked about it on stage, but essentially what we've built is it's real time. You don't have to refresh the page or anything. All the comments come in real time. So it feels like, like a twitch.tv, like live chat room. So if you want to keep up with HiveFest and be engaged, and that's what Hive's all about, then go to the threadcast.
Love it. All right.